Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for watching us on Hilaal TV on channel 347 on DSTV. You can also live stream www.hilaal.tv. Now, we chat about affordable building technology, would you believe sandbags, with a company called Ubuhle, Bakha, Ubuhle, or UBU. Now, these type of technology, it's quite an affordable and an alternative method that the government and the public as a whole should actually consider when building housing. Now, we know that housing is a crisis, and most of our viewers are still in search of actually owning their own house. The city alone can't address the housing backlog of more than 365,000 households on the waiting list. Building social housing doesn't come cheap. We actually doomed, or is there an alternative solution? So that's what we're here to find out. Today I'm joined by Barry and Younger, who will help us explore the matter more broadly and give us a different perspective on how to build low-cost housing. Gentlemen, Barry and Younger, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So, very interesting. I went to the website, did some research. Now, obviously, we got it. We have a mutual friend that referred the both of us, Ndufunda Kwazi, who is, it's all about building low-cost housing and putting people in their own houses as well. But before we go ahead, Barry, tell us a bit more about your company.
Ubuhle, Bakha, Ubuhle. Ubu stands for Beauty Builds Beauty. Literally, yeah, we build homes and places of belonging using sandbags and eco-beams.
Okay.
It's a technology. I was originally an architect from the UK.
Okay.
I stumbled into a technology. It's not our technology. It was already invented.
Okay.
We just developed it. It never hit the low-income community space. It was always this secondary holiday home for the Abalungus in Betty's Bay and places like that.
Gotcha.
So it was just like, no, this needs to hit a different context. And we done a lot of experimenting, a lot of thinking with in and through an informal community that we used to work in for 10 years. And there's something about it which we have yet to really see fully realised.
Okay, so well done. Very lovely idea coming to our shores as well. Now, in our introduction, we were able to place the problem, that we have, which is housing, social housing in more particular. Can we articulate the solution? I mean, can we really build houses from sandbags?
Yes, it's very
The short
possible.
answer.
Yeah.
Okay, but tell us more.
So I say it's possible because we've been doing it like for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I say it's possible because everyone can get to join and build with us, because we want not us doing it for the people, but the people actually doing it with us, helping them, like training them, so that they can self-build their own homes.
Nice.
So it's very
So
easy
people
to
can
build.
take this technology, let me dissect this,
Yes.
take this technology, go and then build their own homes.
Yes, in just a day of training, and then you can go home with all the experience and you can start building your own house.
Okay, so the question then beckons, I mean, we often hear about you need an engineer's approval, you need your architecture, you need all the different technology that's involved in building a house. Where does that all fit in then?
So we do the sandbag technology, but it's regulated by the Agreements SA, which falls under the
Public Works.
National Public Works.
Gotcha.
So if you want to build sandbag with the sandbag technology, you come in and we train you, and then we assist on the building by coming in.
So where does the things like building plans, municipal regulations come in?
If it's a formal site, you have to go through the system.
Gotcha.
There's no two ways about it. You'll have to have an engineer, he signs the form, and you go through the system. It's everyone knows it's a very bureaucratic process, but you don't get to choose.
Of course, yeah.
We build, though, in informal and informal places. So we have built backyarders in Vanguard Estate for humans that just needed to build something because they were desperate. We've built in informal communities alongside with money that's come via Western Cape government. So the informal space is there,
Right.
but when we do it informally, we still use an engineer. We still go through it as if we were doing it through a regulated system.
Gotcha.
But if you go through a formal earth, then you have to, yeah. So that's why agreement is important. So we have a certificate which is agreement certified, certificate 398,
Okay.
2011 398, and basically we have to maintain that certificate. We get regulated in terms of the manufacturing, because we have to manufacture the bags and the beams. And what do we do on site? You know, the beam structures, the schedules and all that sort of stuff. So we have to get regulated by that. And so when you do a submission to council, you drop that certificate in.
Okay.
So just to say, because all alternative building technologies are governed by Agreement SA.
Okay. Oh, now I'm with you. Now I have a better idea. Because I'm sure when everyone hears this, they probably think, how? How is this possible?
You have to see it.
And I would love to. Definitely want to see that. Now, let's take a step back with regards to the technology, the sandbags, and whatever else is needed to build a house. Take us through. I mean, how big are the bags? What type of sand is used? That type of thing.
So we use bags, which is 300 by 300.
Okay.
And then it's the only sand that is not allowed is organic sand and beach sand,
Okay.
which has a lot of salt. So we
don't use that.
No, because it messes up the walls and stuff.
Right.
And if it's organic, things can grow on the
for sure.
thingy.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
No plant life.
Gotcha. Right.
So it must be just clean sand.
Yeah. Unless it's a greenhouse.
We actually have a wall in Mitchell's Plain that we did for a place where there was dams, water, and then they tried stopping it, so they used the sandbags also.
Okay.
But
all right. So take me through the process. I come to your company and I said, right, I've got an existing earth and I would like to build a secondary structure on my property. I've got about 10 meters by about 5 meters in my yard, and I'd like to build a structure.
And
Take me through the
you've
process.
got an approval.
Not yet. Okay, so that's the first question. You ask me.
Let's get the approval.
Right. These are the step backs I need to take. I have an approval. Okay, so I've got my approval.
Yeah.
Right. Now take me through the steps on guiding me to build the secondary unit.
So it kind of depends on budget, because we can build a foundation with sandbags.
Okay.
Our preference is a concrete foundation,
Right.
which is maxi bricks, plinth, and then a timber frame
Right.
of lattice beams
Okay.
sits on that concrete ring beam.
Right.
And that's like the framework that puts the bags together.
Gotcha.
And then we literally take a 110 pipe and we fill it with sand and we fill the bags.
Okay.
The pipe
on site?
on site.
On site.
Because sand is heavier than concrete.
Gotcha.
So it's very, very
Who would
dense,
have thought?
very massy. Well, one of the benefits of, we'll go through to the attributes, but one of the benefits is that it keeps you cool. And the reason why is because it takes ages for the sun to get through
penetrate.
this heavy mass. So you put the frame up, you put the DPC, damp-proof course, underneath the frame, and then you literally start filling as if it's bricks.
Okay.
Stretcher bond. Now, anyone can do that. Our youngest builder to date is 5 years old, Karis Lilly
Cute.
from Mannenberg.
Cute.
Everyone gets to build, so because everyone can hold a bag.
Gotcha.
That's
So
the
it's
reason
300
why.
by 300.
That's why it's that size.
Yeah. What's it weigh? 300 by 300?
7 kilograms.
Okay.
So, and then it goes into the frame, and then we hit it, so that we can get the edges nice and flat.
Okay. So you compact
You
it.
compact it,
Gotcha.
and then you want the edges nice and flat because you're going to probably plaster it. And then you don't want wastage, so it has to be nice and flat. So
Okay.
this guy's the best sandbagger in the country.
Okay.
No, he's the second best. There's another person better than him. Yeah, so we're trying to refine this thing. And so then when you get up to the top, then the chances are we'll put a concrete ring beam just to bind the whole thing together. Everything else is normal construction. Plastering, roof, flooring,
Okay. So this basically is a substitute for building blocks.
100%.
Okay. Which I would imagine costs a lot more than these sandbags.
No. Concrete block, the like of which you see on an RDP house, is cheaper than sandbags.
Okay.
But we say we don't think we should be advocating for a technology for humans that they use to house horses in Constantia.
Okay.
It's the same technology.
Right.
So the RDP house in Kailicha and different communities, it's using that concrete block. It's the sort of block that in between two blocks you'll get this cement mortar, that's the place where the water gets sucked in,
Gotcha.
and the moisture stays on the inside.
So that's where the dampness comes in.
That's where the
eventually.
dampness comes in. What we like about sand is that it doesn't know what to do with moisture.
Okay.
It can't hold it.
Right.
So that we actually build with moist sand so that you can manipulate it.
Okay.
Because otherwise,
Makes
dry
sense.
sand ignores you. And so, because we know that in time it's going to get bone dry, because sand can't hold moisture, and it will just flow down and out through the bottom.
Very interesting. So, to date, how many projects have you undertaken in the Western Cape?
In the Western Cape, we've probably done about 12 different
Projects.
sites,
Okay.
but we've also built in Masiru, Lesotho. We are also going through a very interesting process in Cholocho in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
With some communities.
All right, I'm going to get back to this very, very interesting project. If you want to know more as well, do join us after the break. We're talking about affordable housing and a different solution, affordable building technology with sandbags, with a company called UBU. If you want to know more, join us after the break. You are still watching Hilaal Live. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Hilaal Live. Thanks for watching us on channel 347. In studio, we've got a company called UBU who's developed a very initiated a very interesting concept on affordable building technology as well. And I'm sure you're just as fascinated because I had lots of questions about when I heard building a house with sandbags. I thought, no, hold on. Let's get them in studio and dissect how all this is done as well. Barry and Younger, thanks once again for coming into studio.
Thanks for having us.
So before the break, we chatted about some of the areas, projects that you were busy with and that you've already initiated. But for our viewers, just to reiterate, we've done some projects in the Western Cape, and what are some of the other areas that you've actually developed this technology or used this technology?
Yeah, so we've worked in lots of different areas. So essentially, we say that we build places of belonging, not homes, because otherwise we get defined by houses.
Gotcha.
But we do ECDs, Early Childhood Development Centres.
Oh, nice.
So we've just completed a double-storey ECD in Khayelitsha Site C.
Nice.
We've done a single-storey ECD in Khayelitsha, Makassar. We've built a prayer room in Manenberg. We've built double-storey semi-detached shacks in Joslovo and Shinawam.
Brilliant.
A holiday home in Betty's Bay. In Lesotho, we facilitated the build of a kitchen within a school premises just to teach and build as we went. And we also Hout Bay.
Did a classroom
Nice.
in
We
Hout Bay.
did a dry classroom in Hout Bay.
Okay. Take us through I mean, how does this technology hold up against the weather? And number one, and two, what are the amount of years that you're hoping that this structure would last? I mean, is there a shelf life to something like this?
So let's just talk about which is the oldest house to date. So the oldest houses to date are actually in Lavender Hill, 30 years old.
Okay.
We didn't build them,
Right.
because this is not our technology that we invented. So that's been around a long, long time. We think that the houses will last as long as the plaster lasts, which is the same as any house, because structurally it's very solid.
Okay.
But how long does anything last? But you have to maintain it. So when there's breaks in the plaster, you have to maintain it. But then, yeah, that's pretty normal.
So we go through volatile, weather patterns, especially in the Western Cape. We have 6 seasons in a day sometime as well. How does it hold up against the weather?
Against the weather, so it's bulletproof. It's when it's very warm outside, it's very cool on the inside. And then in winter, when it's very cold, if you have a source of heat on the inside, it contains that heat for a long time. But mostly what we love about this technology is that everyone gets to build. So that's the key thing for us.
I mean, how amazing it must be to hear somebody say, I built my own house. Okay? I mean, how rewarding
that's the greatest
this
feeling
must be as well.
Yeah. People want to build. People are actually mostly in informal settlements. People are doing their homes by themselves. So this works more in the informal settlements for people who want to continue building homes. But this is like a change in home building, because you get a shack and then you turn it into a house.
What's the square meterage when it comes to low-cost housing at the moment? How much square meterage does the government cater for, allow? What's the average size?
It kind of depends on which instrument, but so if it's emergency housing, you're looking at 24.
Okay, 24 square feet.
Square meters.
Square meters, sorry. Yeah.
But it's but we're also factoring that the government house is no longer that sort of 40 square meter RDP house. And so one of the things that happened during 2014, 2019, we were actually facilitating an upgrade within an informal community. It's called the UISP, the Upgrade of Informal Settlements Program. And as part of that process, so the government drops in the millions of rands, and they put in a road network and things like that. And the fourth stage of that is a consolidation. We figured at that stage that this is the future of where we're headed, i.e. the free house is going to go. The government gives you a consolidated stand.
Gotcha.
What happens next? Well, the humans are going to build a shack. They're going to build whatever they can.
Because it's what they can afford.
That's what they can afford. So what we were saying back in those days is, we think this is going to happen. How about we develop an idea using this technology which enables people to build a shack, but a different type of shack. It's a shack that can become something. So one of the projects that we've done is called the Process House, which we developed over 2.5 years. We started off as a single-story shack, rejected by the community because it's got zinc on the outside. But as time went on, we filled it with bags. We plastered it. So now it's got plaster on the inside. It's got zinc on the outside. Then we put a concrete ring beam, very slowly. And then there was a glorious day when you realize, well, let's take the roof off and then build another frame. So it became a double story. And then there was another glorious day when, although I'm an architect that likes zinc, but the community leader said, no, take the zinc off because you promised me a house. So we had to take the zinc off, and then you plastered it. So now it's a double story finished plastered house. And we wanted to model something which was like, this is what could happen when you get your service site, and over time you add to it, you invest it, through Stockfells or the saving schemes or whatever, and you add to your home, your asset. So it means that every time you put some rands into the building, you haven't lost anything. It becomes an investment. Because a lot of time people are building shacks, and the incremental journey, the Ulangi said, Ganya journey of shack building, they don't know if it's going to get knocked down. They don't know if it's going to stay, this sort of thing. So that's one of the projects, and I think that is still something that we're interested in.
I think it's commendable. I think it's innovative, and especially in our communities. What's the response like in the communities when they see something like this go up? Is it a bit of a shock, a culture shock? Because, we're not used to this technology.
People, at first, they would think you tell them that we're doing a structure we're using sand, and they're like, no, you're playing, man. Come on. This is not serious. But once it starts going up, people are interested. How do you do this? How do you do this? So they start learning by talking to us, and then they get more interested, because we are like, we want to share everything that we know about sandbags. We're not holding any information to ourselves, because this is for everyone.
So what's the attributes of building with the sandbag? I mean, talk to us about that.
As I said, it's bulletproof, fireproof, and on any weather, when it's cold, it's cool. When it's and it can be, we can build in Betty's Bay and we can build in Joslovo, but the attributes is still the same. We offer the people the same quality, so it's not like you're getting a two-wall house and then you get in just a brick house, which is bad for the people in mostly in our communities. They're just getting the same everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's the very important point right there as well. We chatted about phase 1, where there were different projects that you undertook. Is there a phase 2 to all of this?
What's the dream?
Well, as many phases as possible.
I think essentially we long to be doing multiple units within the low-income community setting. To do that, we have to partner with the city. So that's, and we must wait. It's not like they don't know. They do know. In fact, there were some lovely people in the city back along that said, listen, the competition's coming, it's a Better Living Challenge, Western Cape Government, you need to enter it because you've got an idea. And so we did. So we've always partnered with them, and they are catching up. There has been a tender recently for alternative building technologies within emergency housing. So it's not like they're not doing stuff. They absolutely are. So we wait and see. We wait and see what is possible. But you can't do that type of multi-building because that's the dream, you know, piles of sand. Can you imagine piles of sand, children filling, everyone gets involved, everyone gets to build. And then we ask ourselves, what effect does it have when we do this? What versions of home are we making in a city like Cape Town, the so-called post-apartheid city, where actually for a lot of people it's still the apartheid city?
Yeah.
How is home being made in this context? What is possible? So the whole phenomenon of self-built, the phenomenon of allowing people to the table, allowing them to even play a part in the designing of the composition of their units and their homes, building for themselves, learning, making relations, you know, what is possible.
What's the construction industry take on this technology? Have you consulted? Have they come to you and said, look, I would also like to get in on this, or I'm going to stay away? What's it been like?
There are most guys who I know that are in construction, but most guys are very interested in what we do. And so when we are doing a project somewhere, you will see guys coming in and they are experts in construction and they build with bricks. But once they see the sandbag technology, they just get shocked, like, yo, this is very nice.
I mean, that's a common response, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's very common. Like, people are starting to like see it, and as much as we go into different communities to do this, so people are getting to know it. So it's really amazing for us.
How do people get hold of you if they'd like to chat more, they'd like to find out more? What are the best methods?
Email, WhatsApp. We have a factory in Philippi. You come, we drink coffee, and we talk about what it is you want to do. Okay, so please, can you give that information out to our viewers? Yes, it's barry@ubu.bz. You can get me on 0833 273 045. Okay. We will talk to everyone. And your factory in Philippi, directions, how to get the address? Yeah, it's 669 Veldt of Eden Road. So it's on the edge of the PHA. It's very safe, very accessible. We have green sandbag walls. We sew there. We sew our bags there. We make the eco beams there. So for people to see the space of making. We have an engagement space, so we have lots of different types of people coming and talking about how to make home, because a lot of it is when we have a training day, of which anyone can come to a training day. We also have a conversation around home, because everyone has a story about home. Of course, absolutely, and what it means to them. Barry and Younger, all the best. Thanks very much for coming into studio, chatting to us about this very innovative idea, and we wish you all the very best for the future. Thank you so much for having us. There we go. That's UBU in studio. Go and check them out on all the good socials and visit them at their factory as well if you're very interested in this technology. We take a break for the Maghrib Salah from Bakha. Afterwards, at 6 o'clock or just before 6 o'clock, I'll link up with our regular slot with our dermatologist talking about eczema today as well. If you have a problem with that, join us just before 6 as we take you through all the pertinent information that you need to know. Thanks for watching us on Hilaal Live.